Chapter 56, An Unexpected Visitor. I spent my days growing more elemental apples and supervising Sven's progress. Then one day, I had an unexpected visitor. He had arrived like the elven prince back then. Suddenly and undetected, he stood beside me. "You must be Lord Eldar. Excuse my sudden appearance, but I was in a hurry. Why do all you ants always keep appearing out of nowhere? So you actually saw me. I must commend your keen perception, for you to even notice such an unassuming detail. What the heck are you talking about? Just get to the point before I kill you, Aesir." Fine. I am here today to ask a question. Are you the one producing these miraculous arrows the human army used during the last battle? No. What arrows are you talking about? I only gave the humans some iron, they must have made that into arrows. But it was just normal iron. Was I playing dumb? Of course, I was. Who would ever admit to having produced a weapon that can wound an invulnerable enemy? Just push the blame on the humans. They are at war with the Aesir anyway. Really? The humans said otherwise, they proclaimed they were present when you made them. The good old trick when interrogating separately, tell them the other one already talked. I wouldn't fall for that. Defamation. They just want to shift the focus of the war away from them. I made no such arrows for the humans. Technically, this was not a lie. The humans did wish to shift the attention of the Aesir away from them, and I didn't make those arrows for them, but for Sven. Spare me your excuses. Let me be frank, I am Loki, as of now, a general of the Empire. Both of my parents were Jotuns, but Odin killed them and took me in due to my talent. He doesn't know that I found out, and like you, I want my revenge. I am Odin's spymaster and have collected a lot of knowledge about you. With your help, I can kill Baldur, drive Odin and Frigg mad, and destroy the Empire. Our goals do indeed seem to align quite well, but what about Thor? Is he your way of removing me after I lose my worth to you? By no means. Thor will be a problem I'll have to deal with myself. He is dangerous and his weakness is hard to exploit. What if I offered to help you kill Thor in exchange for his body? So it's true that you are a tree that specializes in using lightning. Things won't be as easy as you think. For now, Odin is the real problem. As long as he controls the Empire, they will not make any grave mistakes. And as long as Baldur lives, they will not lose hope. Then what do you propose to remedy this troubling situation? Glad you ask, I just need one of those arrows. I can smuggle it into Asgard without a problem, and then I just need to wait for an opportunity. If I need anything else I'll return. Now if you would excuse me, I will have to go find a way to keep Odin out of this. And just like he had appeared out of nowhere, he suddenly vanished. Well, at least he tried to make me think that. My earlier comment about him being an ant had unexpectedly been on the mark. Where Loki had been standing a small ant with an absurd amount of magic power. I could only conclude that Loki possessed a talent allowing him to shapeshift. The ant quickly scurried off, leaving me to my own thought about how to proceed from here on out. I could do little but trust Loki and hope he kept the Aesir of my back while preparing for the case where he didn't. My strength still wasn't sufficient to openly take on all the other powers. I needed more bloodlines and strong servants. I should give a bloodline to all those orphans I recruited with Nerita. I also couldn't slack off when training myself. I needed to continuously try to improve my control and understanding of as many attributes as possible. Sigh, so little time yet so much to do. Chapter 57, Sigmund is busy. A month had passed since my first encounter with Loki. There had been little progress with his plans to kill Baldur, or even smuggling the heavenly arrow into Asgard. We had met a few more times, but last time Loki told me he'd be making a trip to Jotunheim and wouldn't be back for a while. Sven had also had multiple breakthroughs, making him a bona fide peak Viscount Magus. His body was like a furnace and devoured tons of wind apples to fuel his rapid pace of growth. With his WYRM bloodline and the help of enough energy, he was quickly soaring past the bottlenecks of every level. Nerita wasn't faring so well, having only reached the intermediate Viscountess Mega Real. She was lagging behind due to her bloodline holding her back. Volsung too found it hard to advance any further. He had already lost his youthful vigor, and breaking through to peak Grand Duke fighter would be nigh impossible. Instead of wasting his efforts on that insane bottleneck, I had him learn magic. Admittedly, his talent wasn't great, but with the help of countless fire apples, he successfully reached the early night Magus realm. If only I had a mythical beast's bloodline to give him, his potential would soar. As for the orphans, they had all reached the Night Magus realm and successfully received the WYRMS bloodline. Sadly, none of them had mutated like Sven. Additionally, all of them had made an equals contract with a shadow horse. I had also recruited some adventurers, ranging from the Magus level to the Baron Magus level. They all made an equals contract with one of the various beasts I could grow. I had finally built a combat force that wasn't made up of only beasts. I still had the beasts. They made up a large part of my forces, but their ability to think was a critical drawback. Only alpha beasts with years of practical experience could do such a thing. The alphas I grew might be physically bigger than normal beasts, but experience-wise, they were essentially newborns. The humans might be few in number, but they could make autonomous decisions and think about their next moves. I had been preparing throughout the past month for an enraged Sigmund to charge over here and attempt to chop me in half. However, when I now spied a troop under the royal banner approaching, I couldn't feel his presence amongst them. Could he have hidden? No, a man like Sigmund would never hide. He would only advance or retreat without hiding anything. The convoy didn't attack the town, but continued through and reached my base. They had not met any resistance so far. All my forces had been pulled back and secretly sent to seal off the perimeter. Sigurd was leading the convoy, followed closely by Siegfried and Signe. All three of them were now intermediate Marquis Magi. The last time I had seen them, both royal descendants had only been Count Magi. For them to break through repeatedly in such a short amount of time. A mythical beast's bloodline really was something else. Tree. I believe you owe us an explanation for what happened to the Muspel clan. Well, first of all, I have a name, you know. Second of all, don't you humans think this is getting repetitive? How many times have we had this kind of conversation? Also, where's Sigmund? Sigurd's face contorted with rage. Stop dodging the question. Sigmund is busy, and I'm here as his representative, asking you why you backstabbed us. Backstabbed? I don't know what you are talking about. If that is all, I'll be waiting for Sigmund to take some time to meet me personally. I am the Prince of the Sky Kingdom. There is no need for my father to come here. Talk to me. Answer my question. As you said, you are only a prince. You are not qualified to talk to me as an equal. Do you really think Sigmund would be throwing a tantrum like you? Admittedly, I was provoking Sigurd. Sigmund sending over a representative instead of coming himself was meant to send a clear message to me. A message I would be sending right back by refusing to talk to his representative. Knowing Sigurd's temper and the fire dragon's soul pouring sweet poison in his ear, this would no doubt end bloody. You think I am not qualified? I will show you just how qualified I am. With a roar of pure, unadulterated rage, Sigurd's body shifted as he used beast mode. Fully utilizing the power of his bloodline, his transformed state raised his power to the very peak of the Duke Magus realm, touching slightly upon the beginning of the Grand Duke realm. Evidently, he had lost control over his emotions and given in to the dragon within. Forgetting about his powerful magic, he charged, relying on his transformed body. Are you aware that your actions represent all humans? If you proceed now, no one can save you. Sigurd didn't seem too concerned with my words. His eyes were red as his speed increased once again. Behind him, a soul call rang out, filled with worry for her brother and the tree that had helped her once. Don't do it, brother. But nothing could stop the enraged Sigurd as he was about to reach me. Then with a snap, his body stiffened and fell like a broken kite whose string was cut. Sigurd was dead. I had detonated the little present placed in his body long ago. I wasn't in the habit of creating hidden threats for the future. Thus, back when I took a look at the royal descendants, I had planted a seed of extremely concentrated lightning magic inside each of them. This seed would continuously absorb magic in their body and kill them with just a simple thought from my side. Sigurd hadn't stood a chance. Chapter 58, Peace Treaty. Sigurd's sudden fall had greatly astonished the humans. Only when I absorbed Sigurd's lifeless body did they realize what had just happened. The Sky Kingdom's representative had attacked the other party and had been killed without being able to resist. Most of them were shocked. Sigurd had not seemed much weaker than me, and his attribute should have been very effective against me. Only Siegfried gasped in horror as the realization hit her. That girl was very perceptive and had even noticed the lightning seed hidden within her. Not like she could do anything about it. The people of this world hadn't put much focus on the fine control of magic, they specialized in brute magic. Extracting this lightning seed would probably require a King Magus to take action themselves. While Siegfried was sinking deeper into the horror of what was inside her, Signe had stepped forward. Bold of you to just kill Sigmund's heir. Do you not fear him charging over and cutting you down? Well, maybe that would be enough for him to actually have time to meet me. Also, the grudge between us needed to be settled since the Muspel clan. This merely serves to make things move along more quickly. Do you truly attach so little importance to the life you gave just taken? He did not need to attack me. He did this of his own volition and reaped the consequences. Now, please leave, I'll be awaiting Sigmund's arrival. We can't leave. This issue between us must end today. Sigmund can't leave the border in fear of the Aesir attacking once again. With Volsung gone, he is the only one who can fight the enemy generals. I was about to ruthlessly reject her once again, but Volsung interjected. Eldar, isn't the main objective here to be recognized by other nations? Forcing the humans to sign a peace treaty after your first confrontation would definitely be impressive. Seems you still have some attachments to the human kingdom. However, you are correct, such an arrangement would indeed be beneficial to me. What do you say to this, Signe? This is acceptable for us. Siegfried. How can you accept that? Aunt Signe, you said it yourself, Father can't leave the border and we can't defeat Eldar. It would be best if we laid this grudge to rest now rather than later. With brother's death, I'm the next in line for succession and can make such decisions. Sigh, I guess you are all grown up now. I won't oppose you anymore then. Act as you see fit. Now all of this peace treaty stuff may sound pretty formal, but honestly, it was only a verbal agreement between nations. Either side could technically break the agreement, but that would result in a loss of credibility which no one wanted. Thus, the human party left quickly. They were probably heading straight back to the border to help defend against potential retaliation from the Empire. Finally, they were gone. Without any further distractions, I could fully focus on my recent gains. By absorbing Sigurd, I had finally gained a mythical beast's bloodline. A fire dragon's no less. Sadly, my initial joy quickly began to wane. The process of deduction required to create the blueprint for such a powerful beast was way too long. Also, apparently, the bloodline was too potent for ordinary people. A strong soul and a resistant body were necessary to accommodate such a bloodline. Even Sigurd had needed the dragon's soul to take some of the pressure. The only one I knew who could sustain this bloodline was Volsung. I tried to give him the bloodline as soon as I had finished the deduction. Regarding the aforementioned dragon's soul, it was now within me as well. Despite its constant resistance, the soul was slowly eroded and devoured by me. This process brought me a vast amount of benefits. Firstly, my deduction speed increased slowly but steadily. Secondly, a faint path to the innate understanding of fire appeared within my mind. Thirdly, all the fire dragon's memories were extracted and stored within me. Should I ever have time, I could sort through them and maybe learn a thing or two. Chapter 59, Things are about to go horribly wrong. Loki had returned. After spending 2 months on the deduction of the fire dragon blueprint, I had been close to completing it, when I was interrupted by this fellow. Since his return, he had been lamenting about his own stupidity of taking so long to get his idea while praising himself for the greatness of said idea. If you are down exercising your tongue now, how about you tell me about this idea of yours? What? Oh, guess I should tell you. Since Balder returned, every day he proves his invulnerability. All of us throw weapons, spells and other deadly things at him and he just doesn't get wounded. Apparently, it makes him feel better. Now one of the ones attending is Hod, a blind Peak Grand Duke fighter. I will simply place the arrow in his hand and escape all guilt. So I'll just have to make an arrow, right? No, make it look like a plant, a mistletoe. That way I can shift some of the blame on the Vanir. Are you looking to drag them into your little game too? Sure, but you'll see the specifics later. See? How are we going to get that to work? You can't be thinking of taking me along. That's exactly what I'm thinking. During the last battle, you disappeared completely, just do so again. Then you can see everything yourself. I guess I could force that state and remain undetected. Fine, I'll make the arrow now. The arrow was made, a light golden arrow decorated with intricate mistletoe leaves running along the shaft. I tried to increase the density as much as possible, infusing as much sunlight as possible. Then I formed my spiritual body only to disperse it again, bundling up the energy so I could instantly restore my full state. After that, I attached the sliver of my soul to Loki. I was now undetectable for all intents and purposes. Unless an expert with excellent perception abilities searched for me, I doubted that I would be discovered. Loki grabbed the arrow and flew off after transforming into a raven. I lost track of time as we flew through the clouds. At some point, Loki began to rapidly descend, and as he broke through the clouds, a magnificent golden city appeared before us. I am not sure if you are here, Ka, but in case you are, Ka, welcome to Asgard, the city of gods. Loki's voice sounded strange when he spoke in raven form. He sounded high-pitched, and between his words an occasional Ka disrupted his sentence. The closer we got to Asgard, the brighter it seemed. It was truly made mostly out of gold. No wonder they were all so insufferably arrogant and called themselves gods. Landing before an unassuming house, Loki took the form of a tall long-haired, elf-like male. With a flowing movement, he knocked on the door, producing a dull, ringing sound. "Come in, the door isn't locked." A deep, sonorous voice permeated through the door. Loki pushed open the door and entered. The inside of the house was Spartan. Despite the walls being made of gold, the place seemed simple, poor even. In the main hall, a muscle-packed man sat on a golden throne, staring straight ahead. He turned his head as Loki stepped closer, and I could see his eyes were entirely white. He was Hod, the blind general of the Aesir. "What is your purpose in coming here, Vanir Trash?" I have long admired the great strength of the General Hod. Recently, I heard of Baldur's predicament and was hoping to help by donating an arrow I had forged myself. "Please accept it." "Fine. Just leave already, I am sick of that horrendously sweet perfume all you Vanir always apply." Loki placed the arrow in Hod's hand and turned to leave. As he closed the door behind himself, Loki transformed back into his usual self and was wearing a smile dripping with venom and mockery. They are so easy to fool. Then Loki made his way to the center of the city. There, he entered into a palace made entirely of polar silver, a transparent, silvery crystal that was incredibly rare. Loki entered the main atrium where Baldur was standing above a frozen pool. His upper body was still bare and producing countless sparks as various weapons clashed with his skin, unable to pierce through. Baldur wore the facial expression of a maniac as he kept encouraging the Aesir to try harder. The scar left on his face by my arrow was no longer visible, but the mental scar from being wounded was still very fresh. Chapter 60, Baldur's Demise. Among the various Aesir crowding the atrium, I recognized none beside Baldur. I would have to depend on Loki to tell me who they were. Especially, Thor and Odin were figures I should keep an eye out for. After entering, Loki walked over to an old man sitting on a portable wooden throne. The aged man had only one eye and was tightly gripping a spear in his right hand while two ravens sat on his shoulders. He radiated the unyielding aura of an emperor. "Glory to thee, All-Father, may all the secrets of the land and sky be revealed in thy graces." Loki fell to one knee and greeted the old man. This must be Odin, the emperor. The ravens on his shoulders were surprisingly both mythical beasts. They had probably reduced their own size to fit into this place. I see Hugin and Munin are as resplendent as always. "Shut up, fake raven. If you talk much more, we'll have you bear another child." The ravens clearly disliked Loki. And what was that about bearing a child? Loki took the threatening words of those two birds with tremendous calm and walked over to a secluded corner of the atrium. From that spot, he could observe every move made by others, while remaining mostly undisturbed. Half an hour later, Hod arrived and joined the crowd. Led by a petite Aesir woman, he found a free spot and took aim with the arrow in his hand. With the woman adjusting his aim, he locked onto Baldur and threw the arrow with all his might. As the arrow pierced through the air, it gave a whistling howl, attracting Baldur's attention. As his gaze fell on the approaching arrow, a look of recognition flashed through his eyes. A despairing wail escaped his lips as the arrow arrived before him. With a sickening crunch, the arrow embedded itself in Baldur's skull. The golden glow of the arrow was tainted by blood, and the drops forming on the leaves looked like berries, completing the mistletoe. For a whole minute, no one talked, moved, exhaled, or did anything. Then all hell broke loose. Odin was yelling orders, while most of the people present were just panicking. Taking advantage of the ensuing chaos, the petite Aesir woman tried to lead Hod away. Most of the guards rushing into the atrium overlooked them, but they hadn't escaped Loki's watchful eye. He pushed off the floor and intercepted the fleeing couple as they were about to leave. With a flip of his wrist, an obsidian knife appeared in his hand as Loki thrust it towards the woman's neck. Entering next to her spine, the knife cut diagonally through the woman's windpipe, instantly killing her. She collapsed, without being able to make a simple sound. As Hod felt the hand leading him lose all strength and he heard a body hitting the floor, he became livid. He dropped to his knees and was soaked in the female's blood. Even without eyes, he grabbed her body, cradling her in his arms. Despite the commotion, Loki's actions had attracted Odin's attention. Remembering who threw the arrow, a deranged look appeared on Odin's face. "All guards, kill him. Bring me that bastard's bloody corpse. I'll have his and his *****''T's bodies hang above the city gate. How dare you?" Upon hearing Odin's words, Hod lost it. Lashing out with his left hand, he blasted half the approaching guards into a bloody mist. Loki had long retreated out of range and was quietly murmuring to himself. "Hod really lives up to being the physically strongest Aesir in all our history. If only he weren't blind." The remaining guards all rushed at Hod's kneeling figure. Their strength varied from Viscount Magus to Marquis Magus, but before Hod they were all the same. He slung the female corpse over his left shoulder and held it tightly. After making sure he held her firmly with his left hand, he began swinging his right arm around like a windmill. All guards that entered the range of his arm exploded into flying pieces of flesh. However, Hod was using his left arm to hold a body and thus couldn't defend on that side. Some of the guards realized these openings and left many deep wounds on his body. Under the unending stream of guards, those wounds slowly accumulated until even Hod's godly physique couldn't keep him standing. His mighty body hit the ground with a resounding thud. Odin then truly ordered for them to be hung above the city gates, but before the guards could do so a mighty voice stopped them. "Don't do this, Odin. Hod was clearly tricked into killing Balder. We should find the true culprit behind this instead of needlessly punishing one of us." Evidently, this character held a lot of influence among the Aesir. He was clad in silver armor and exuded an unrestrained pride. Loki gave him a displeased look. He enjoyed every needless punishment Odin gave. If he wanted to maximize the chaos and cover his tracks, he'd have to stop this guy. Needless punishment? Tyr, since when can you criticize the All-Father's orders, even going as far as calling them needless? And how do you know that someone else was behind this? Are you a part of this insidious murder, here to distract us? Every word Loki spoke created a deeper pit for Tyr to fall into.